Yeah, Charlie, I mean, it's very important. And lastly, okay, so next month we have Peter Kirsten, knock on wood, right, he had to cancel last January. But next month, we need some volunteers to help with some stuff. Peter Kirsten will be here. Marty, tell us about issue 2.
All right, it's a difficult situation. I'm all about lower taxes, and I'm sure all of us in this group want lower taxes. Problem with issue 2 is it's something that will hurt us financially if we vote no. If we vote yes, it's not going to change what's happening. So we have about $2.5 billion, $2.3 billion I think it is, in infrastructure. And here's an example of infrastructure. July 1st, Route 2 and I-90 is being widening the road to 3 lanes. Could the city or the county afford to do that out of its tax base? No. It's a very expensive task. We're talking about a $150 million sewer project, which is supposedly would bankrupt Vermillion if they were to do it, and it's going down to get our sewers. So that fund funds that. But if we say no, and it goes to state, from a county to a state to a federal. So if we say no as a state, it's divided up amongst the other states. So it's a catch-22. If we say yes, we want to eliminate that. If we did it nationwide, it would be a different story, because then it would be up to the states to raise the money to pay for it. And so that trickle-down part of it will bite us. Yes, I'm against it, but in this case, it might be the wisest thing to really look into it and see what's happening with the roads and bridges. We have 2 major projects going on that are partially funded from that in Lorain County. And that's the same with like NOACA. It's $51 million from NOACA. And if you said, well, we don't want to participate in federal money at NOACA, we want to eliminate it, which there's other agencies in Ohio that represent the counties, that money goes to the other states. So we're paying for it, and unfortunately to change it, it would take a much bigger picture than just voting yes or no on issue 2. So it's a very complicated, I'm not saying whether I'm yes or no on it, I'm just saying you got to think of what you're voting on, and more than likely it's going to hurt us if we do vote no, financially. Any questions on that? Yes, sir.
What about dodging these construction projects? For an example, from a different field, you have the medical. You go in, without insurance, you pay hundreds of dollars. You have insurance, you pay thousands of dollars. Why? Because they can charge it, because it's being paid. These construction companies use inferior products in the roads, so within the matter of 6 months to a couple of years, they have to go back and redo that section of road that they just did, keeping themselves employed. I've actually heard this from contractors. It's bloated, these contracts, and all the pork barrel spending, and probably kickbacks that they're getting from hiring these construction companies. And has anyone driven on a road where they're doing construction? That construction goes from here till who knows how far down the road. Instead of doing one project at a time, continuing down, they create all this bloated construction site, and of course they're able to collect more fines for speeding, because now instead of a small section of road being repaired, construction zone goes from here till there, and they can get double fines for speeding. So is there any dodging happening with these infrastructure projects?
Well, it's a good question. So I call the county DJM, Dave, Jeff, and Marty. The 3 of us are overlooking these things. Here's an example, and I don't want to take up too much time because I know the meeting's going long. We had a federally funded program for lead abatement. Okay, there's a good example. And it came to the county administrators to vote on it yes or no. Number 1, there was only 1 bid contract. Or there was really 2, but 1 was eliminated because they didn't qualify, they didn't register, they didn't do it. And there are specifications. So you get the specifications from state level requirements all the way down to county to municipality. Well, on the county level, I can only go from the county down. So at the county, I'm looking at that. It was a $61,000 abatement bid. The other one was $95,000. So they had 2 weeks to do the bid under the rules. So and the estimation on it was it came in at $61,000. The house that they were doing this in was worth $67,000. And after the abatement, the house is worth $87,000. It's a program like that, in my opinion, that house should come down. It's not worth it to take the taxpayer money. But because of the way it was set up, here's example number 2. We have a ditch cleaning project that the county's doing right now. And I spoke up a little bit the first meeting because there was family and kids involved in that house. And I voted yes to give them the money because they did the process right and it was a program and it would eliminate housing for somebody. So it infuriated me. So I made my point a little bit mild at that meeting. The next meeting, it came up that we had a $50,000 tree clearing bid. And the bid came in with 2 bids. One was eliminated again, and it was a 2-week process. And I'm thinking to myself, this has to be done by March 31st. And March 31st is the hard deadline, or we can't do it for another year. And that project is holding up $10 million of a project that's taken 8 years to get done. So we have a rush. And I voted yes on that again, but I made it very clear this time. I'm against single bid contracts. I'm watching out for the money. I was a contractor, I own real estate. Those things are in my wheelhouse, so I'm looking at money. I run my own business, so I'm looking at the financial part of it. And unfortunately, I've got Dave and Jeff. We all take our expert areas and look at the money. And Dave and Jeff, before I got in office, started making the requisitions for money come down and itemize it. And so what I do is I go through that requisition before every board meeting. I see something for 10 grand. I bring in the fiscal officer in and I say, hey, what's this for? So that's the Doge of Lorain County. We are very fiscally responsible. There's 3 business owners. Now, do we need a Doge to come in? I personally believe we need to go into the bigger programs, and I'm not going to pick on anyone because they might be doing the greatest job in the world. Like you've got Job and Families, Children's Services. Those are federal government programs and state government programs. All we do is we oversee the budget, but we start looking for big red flags in the budget, and then we micromanage it a little bit, find out what's going on, and then we move it on. So that gives you an idea where it is on our level, and there's 42 agents or 42 boards that we have to do this for. And so it is a little bit overwhelming, and I will say this, we are working on government efficiency in ourselves, and they've been doing it for 2 years, and fortunately with 3 of us in there that are like-minded, it's a lot easier. And the middle management that we have between us and the other managers, we have a phenomenal crew. And as a business owner, I started with nothing and I built it up, and that's from watching money and spending money and all that. So in the county, that's what we have going on right now, and I'm impressed. Yes, I'm taking low-hanging fruit, and they're taking low-hanging fruit, like big buckets of money. We're starting there, and then by next year, we'll start going to this next bucket of money. Unfortunately, you can't do it all at once, and you can't just hire somebody to do it because you're going to be spending money. And so we have to do that, and our work is greater right now, and our administrators are greater. So I didn't mean to get up here and give you a big speech on all that, but thank you very much. I do appreciate it.